No, this is it right here. No fucking way would I have got rid of the best driver over something that small. So that's the quote. No fucking way would I have got rid of the best driver over something that small. It's not t-shirts. It's not this and that, all this behind the scenes conglomerate, crew chief disagree. There's nothing like that. It's not nothing like that. It's something completely really. It is very small why this happened, which leads people to think or believe that whoever's coming into the car played a bigger factor than whatever caused that partnership with RTJ and SSI to split around. Now, I'm not going to get into that, but I'll tell you what, and this is something that I'm getting frustrated with, honestly, the people involved in the sport, because there seems to be this unsensical expectation, this fantasy land that you people live in, I guess, behind your big money houses and all this. You just think, I don't know, man. A lot of these people are successful in their own business world, and in their own business world, when you're the king and you're paying all the bills, and everybody kind of tells you what you want to hear, and if they don't, you fire them, you get rid of them, you send them off their own ways. But in the real world out here, in the dirt track world, for sure, there's this thing people do, and it's called think, and it's called speculate, and it's called projecting what could or could not happen. It's this thing that we got called a brain that actually makes us the smartest animal on the planet, which we can be the dumbest at the same time. But what I'm trying to say is, when you come out with the biggest name in the damn sport, separating with a team that has had unknowingly success on the track and off, not all the way apparently, and you put that out there and just say mutually or parting ways with no information, you just went up to the anthill and kicked it. They're scattering everywhere. They're going to talk. And so the world is not just going to sit there and not think and not speculate and not guess and not use this mind that makes them the most dominant animal on the planet. So this is why I say frustrated with the sport. There's ways to handle this scenario. You don't have to just be the victim and play a cry victim when people go out there and say all this stuff and you're like, it's none of their business. They don't need to know what happened. Oh my God. There's ways to handle this. And I don't know who's running PR for these people or doesn't understand or look to successful organizations that have way worse splits and issues and exchanging a player. I don't know why y'all don't pay attention to these people and learn how professionals do this, to where you don't have to go out there and say it's none of their business and all this psychoticness. Here's the post that I put, and once again, I started off by saying this needs to be said. I said this needs to be said for future partnerships and decisions. I put in parentheses, friendly PR suggestion. I encourage you to learn from how the pros do it. I see how people are saying, no need for details. This is between RTJ and SSI. Okay, so that sounds great, but the answer is no. Not when it's a sport that has media and fans. This isn't a private relationship. It is on a grand stage with multiple avenues of involvement. And this is how I'm trying to offer a solution here. We've seen this in other sports when a big star leaves a team. ESPN releases how said player and GM blah, blah, blah has personal disagreements or whatever, some form of reasoning behind the split. There is some form of details as to why a decision was made, not just by. And here's the point. Once again, y'all, this is called damage control. They do that because they know they need to control the perception of what happened. So the fans and media don't run with speculation on the reasoning for said decision. This is referred to as damage control. It is that simple. So when this goes awry and maybe let's just say they want to just part mutually and everybody's great and grand, or say it's something horrible and destructive, but y'all want to do it publicly to where it's not going to, cause this big giant question mark that every freaking message and conversation and video has been trying to answer for the last day. This is a situation where you have to understand you're dealing with people. This isn't private. This has to do with fans in a way. Y'all are not, really understanding, I think, and I speak of the politicals of the racing industry and the racing world a lot. And I talk about the sponsors and the car owners and the streaming companies and the track promoters. They're just like in this ruling class area. And yes, there's levels to that. Like there's a lot of examples where, you have the car owner that is the sponsor and they kind of run the entire operation. And you would consider that person kind of at the top of the echelon, a car owner. Maybe they got a track. They're like the kings of the ruling class. And then you got car owners who are dependent on sponsorships. And in that scenario, the sponsorship is kind of the ruler over the car. And then, the driver is below everyone in this situation. And that's the person with the strings, and that's the person with the collar on what they can or cannot say. That's why we get a lot of vanillas. And this whole system, though, I would almost put the track promoters like below everyone in that list at the end of the day, unless they own a track and are in with the car and all that stuff. But regardless, in the system, it is successful. It makes money. It survives. They all survive in this ruling class, just like in the real world. The politics, the governing bodies, all these things survive because of the worker class. The worker class goes out here in the racing world and pays all the bills, buys all the streams, buys all the tickets, goes and actually pays for it. And sometimes these people within the ruling class, the drivers, the owners, the sponsors, track promoters, series, streamings, all these people, they forget, just like in the real political world, they forget that the working class actually is the battery to the machine. And that's probably a big disconnection for some. Some it's not. There's some people who really pay attention to that worker, that battery that makes it work. They pay attention to it and they're successful. But then there's a lot that don't. And when you're addressing or putting news out like this, you have to attune to that worker class. I actually got an interesting message from somebody in that worker class scenario. And they were talking about a bunch of stuff in this situation as a fan and some other stuff too. But, and they were more so alluding to people having an opinion, speculating, trying to put an answer to this big ending of a sentence of "we just parted ways?" ? With the best driver in the industry. And this person said, scroll down Flow and Dirt on Dirt's timeline and see how many posts have been made in the last 10 hours about RTJ. This is back to the expectations of these fans. This isn't their business, blah, 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 blah. This personal. He continues, he says, people that expect everyone to tape themselves to a wall are out of touch. That's what I'm trying to allude here. It's everybody's business because it is a public function. We teach our kids to look up to these people. We buy their shirts. We travel 10 to 12 hours sometimes just to watch them drive in circles on a dirt oval. Race fans do feel invested, and it is ignorant to think they don't. They're always going to have questions. The way I feel is if you don't need our opinion, then you don't need our money either. Fund it yourself or go race a street stock where nobody gives a this guy says, I just drove 1,000 miles to watch a local super late model race, spent $350 to do it, and didn't even get an F&T shirt. So, I mean, and this example he's talking about is the example of a bunch of these race fans who when you supply them shit, let's just say the truth, when you supply them a shit excuse to why one of the biggest drivers in the world, and I'm not blaming Ricky here. I think once again the callers, the ruling class, the drivers are right there with the track promoters. That's probably the drivers and the track promoters need to start working together a little bit more. When you provide those people, that working class that you just think you're so much better than, a shit ass or no reason really, just to part ways. And then your your battery, your supply fund, your engine to this damn racing world asks questions, speculates, says things, thinks of things, what to say, what to do, you know? And then let's just slide me in media, although all of our shows are labeled as comedies. Nothing is true here. We're 100% joke. You know, media is right below all of them. And that's why it's a trickle-down effect of appeasement. And that's why you don't see big corporates on me, because I speak up to the ruling class and try to speak for the people. So that money ain't going to trickle down to me. That's why I have to get the worker class to sponsor the shows. That's why I got regular people's names on my shit. Because I speak against the ruling class of this dirt racing industry. That's why when I say they don't like me, I'm talking about that class. So when you supply an empty-ended sentence with no reasoning, and you don't have no damage control, I'm teaching them, how are you saying it's none of their business? How are you acting this way? You did it. You set it up for them to, you kicked the ant pile over. Whatever you want to call it. You did it yourself. You caused this. You know, and obviously we ain't seen people say we're tired of hearing everyone just talk. But those people who say we're tired of hearing everyone just talk, you're too stuck up there in that ruling class to actually understand how this shit operates. And that happens in the real politics all the time. So I understand, sir. I understand why you feel that way, but that's because you're, like the guy messaged, you're not in touch. You're disconnected from the reality of the situation. This way of thinking that it's none of their business is going to get people to just not talk about it is fantasy. It is fantasy, period. And the media should be talking about it more, but trickle-down effect. They're on the plateau and the dollars shake down and follow. So they're scared. Because, you know, people in media understand how the ruling class operates in the racing world, and they're scared, and that's why, and the drivers do, and the crew, everybody knows how this operates. Fans, the smart ones do too. They see how it goes round and round. So that's why you have a lot of people always on eggshells and not saying what they think or feel or analyzing or thinking, because they're not thinking about thinking. They're thinking about how to make more money. That's why I say money is the new whip. It keeps everybody in order. Massa, I'll do whatever you told me. Whatever you tell me, just give me the money. Give me the money. It's unbelievable how much power we allow it to have. But, I mean, the effects, they're very relatively the same.
This is how we ride. This is how we do.